Good afternoon. A warm welcome to everyone. I, Mrs. Sarika Kapdekar, faculty at the Department of Computer Science, on behalf of Chikitsak Samuhas, Sir Sitaram, and Lady Shantabai, Patkar College of Arts and Science, and VP-Varde College of Commerce and Economics, would like to welcome you all for the Erasmus Plus CS for All international webinar, Cybersecurity Careers for All, Reskilling and Transitioning into Security Workforce. I would first like to give you a brief introduction about our college. Our college was established in 1964. The college has various aided and self-financed courses at the undergraduate and postgraduate levels, along with diploma and certification courses. We are an empowered autonomous college affiliated to the University of Mumbai. We are proud to mention that our college has received several awards. We also got approval to start with PhD. Our college is also an ISO 9001-2015 certified and Deputy Start Scheme awardee. We are also an achiever of India's Education Excellence Awards 2018 from Berkshire Media, USA. In April 2020, as per Education World India College ranking for 2020-2021, we hold 45th All India rank and 10th in the state of Maharashtra. Now, I would like to introduce Erasmus Plus Cybersecurity for All project. The college has participated in European Commission funded projects, CS for All, under the Erasmus Plus program, enhancing our educational framework and cybersecurity standards. Erasmus Plus CS for All is an international capacity building project aims to enhance cybersecurity education by developing industry relevant curricular and practical training modules. Under Erasmus Plus CS for All, conducted various modular and Moodle LMS lifelong learning courses, namely IT Fundamentals for Cybersecurity, Python for Cybersecurity, Security Analysis and Risk Management, and Real-Time Threat Detection and Management are successfully implemented by the college. CS for All empowers students and educators with future-ready cybersecurity competencies. We, at the Department of Information Technology and Computer Science, conduct various workshops, seminars, conferences at university, state, national, international level for students, teachers, industry professionals, and researchers. It is my privilege to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to the members of the Erasmus Plus program and the CS for All team. I respectfully acknowledge the gracious presence of our esteemed dignitaries, Shri Kishore Rangnekar, President Chikitsak Samuha, Dr. Gurunath Pandit, Secretary Chikitsak Samuha, Dr. Mala Kharkar, Chief Education Officer, and Professor Dr. Gautam Sonkamble, In Charge Principal. I also extend a cordial welcome to our distinct faculty members, dear students, and all viewers who are joining us live from across the globe. We shall now proceed with the event. To begin, I am pleased to introduce our eminent speaker, Mr. Samruddha Sudhir Matre, an IT compliance associate at Mytheresa Lux Experience, Germany. Mr. Samruddha has strong expertise in IT compliance and governance with hands-on experience in SOX controls, ITAC testing, audit coordination, and evidence management. He has actively contributed to ensuring regulatory compliance by working closely with cross-functional teams and supporting efficient, well-structured audit processes. With his professional exposure to international compliance standards and real-world industry practices, we are confident that today's session will provide valuable insights to our students, industry experts, researchers, and faculty members. Sir, we are truly honored and happy to have you with us today. Over to you, sir.
So first of all, thank you, Madam Sarika, Madam, and I'm pleased to be part of this Erasmus program. I'll first start share my screen and then we can proceed. Uh, Please tell me if you can see my screen. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
Perfect. Okay. So first of all, thank you everyone for this opportunity, and thank you for the lovely introduction. I'm Samruddha Mhatre. I have been working in compliance domain for now 3.5 years. With my master's program, I started learning about compliance, and then that's how I got into compliance. And my major expertise is in ISO standards, ISO 27001 and SOC 2. uh, Before beginning with the session, I'd like to sincerely thank the whole Patkar College committees and dignitaries out here, and especially Namrata Madam for giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you today. Uh, so let's start with a simple thought out here. How many of you today? How many of you today depend on digital system in everyday life? And the answer is probably everyone depends on digital systems or digital equipment, applications. Everything is digital nowadays, from communication, making payments, even accessing your basic service, which runs through connected system in one way or the other. And because of that, cybersecurity is quietly moving from a center of everything, from center of nothing to center of everything now. In last 10 years, cybersecurity has dominated and is growing at a rapid pace, which we will be covering why and what's the need of all of the people with these skills or people who want to get into cybersecurity needs to be part of the reskilling or understanding how cybersecurity work at a larger scale. So something cybersecurity is essentially a layer that keeps all the system running safely in the background. What's important today is that the shift that also changed why cybersecurity actually means as a career. It is no longer limited to a small technical group, which was in a previous, I guess, in 20 years back, it was just a small technical group in a large organization which used to take care of things. But it has become a broader field now, connecting different backgrounds of people with different backgrounds, skill sets, with different knowledge coming together and solving the biggest challenge nowadays, which is securing your data, which is securing your equipment, infrastructure, all these things. In fact, one of the biggest change in recent year is that now openings the domain is opening up to people who are looking for transition, who are looking for reskilling and coming into from completely different domains. It's all about the career ecosystem, how different the role, how different roles are structured, what skills matter in practice, how people are realistically entering and growing into the space step by step. As we move forward, we'll be first understanding why cybersecurity has become a critical part of today's digital environment, and then gradually look into the roles, skills, career path. And you guys are open to ask any questions if you feel, and I would request any one of you, if I miss any questions out there in the comments, please please tell me so I can look into the questions. uh, so moving forward, uh, so building on what I just said, it's worth understanding that why cybersecurity actually matters in today's world. Uh, Almost everything we use today is digitally run, whether it's a banking, government, energy, health sector. Everything is digital. These systems are no longer separate or a secondary thing. They are dependent on each other, and because of this, even a small issue out there in any remote corner of the system could lead to a bigger disruption in the service provided to various people, whether it's a private sector or the government sector. It doesn't matter. If there are bugs out there, if there are some vulnerabilities out there which can be exploited and which can lead to data storage, data leakage, financial leakage, anything, all these things can lead to bigger disruptions and maybe legal penalties or maybe loss of trust, everything. At the same time, the kind of cyber threats are increasing. And if you see back 10 years or 20 years, the cyber threats were different. Now they are becoming more frequent, more advanced attacking are happening, like ransomware attack or skill injections. These are primarily the high level attack which are happening. I will recommend everybody out here to look into OVAP's top 10, which is provides you a list of top 10 vulnerabilities out there, and you can understand what are the vulnerabilities, how can they mitigate it, and can you how can you start looking them in the system. uh, so First thing, as I said, the attacks are happening at more rapid pace and more frequent and more advanced attack. Then there is data, which is at the center of all this. Data today is not just stored as a information; it's directly linked to how system organization actually work. So when that data is compromised, that impact sorry the impact goes beyond technical problems. It can lead to financial losses, legal issues, as I said, and most importantly, trust of customer, people, everyone. So that's why cybersecurity is no longer just a technical or IT function as a smaller part of the company. It has become something more than important for how business runs, how they can be stabilized, how they can maintain trust with the customer. And so, putting this all together, cybersecurity is not just a separate topic out there. It's what's helped keep the digital system safe, stable, and trustworthy. And the next slide is about how the growth of cybersecurity is happening, whether it's how we store the information, whether we store how business operates, even how we interact on a day-to-day basis. Everything is running through a connected system. And once something that central once thing, once something becomes that central, it's naturally start expanding quickly, and you can't control the way it is expanding. It expands in multiple directions, and that's where the interesting part comes. This expansion doesn't just makes things powerful; it also exposes things to various vulnerabilities, various risks. And because now systems are interconnected, can be remotely handled and are in distributed areas, it's also become there is simply more way for things to go wrong than it were before. Things can be hacked quite easily because you cannot control everything from a single place. You need to have a structure in place, and that's where compliance comes into the place. That's where various teams from various areas comes into the place, and that's where opportunity and talent requirement improves. Organizations are now being pushed into looking into all of these things, all maintaining data from a more legal and operational standpoint of view. There is a growing expectation that data should be handled in a systematic, responsible, and controlled way, so that uh, this legal requirements adds a different layer of pressure on how things are being built and managed. What this all leads to is that where there is a need of people who understand and manage this risk is growing much faster than the number of people available to do it, and the gap is quite visible across all the industry. So when we end up seeing this growing imbalance, high demand across industry but limited pool of people who are ready to step in the role and scale and learn the skills required for the role. This imbalance is exactly what we will try to break down in the next few slides. How significant the demand really is, uh, where the workforce gap is showing, where the workforce gap is really clear in practice, where you can see, okay, in this domain there are less people, whereas in this domain there are people available. But are those people which are available really skilled up? Are those people who are available really ready to take the responsibility of the risk out there, handling the system, handling the governance in my role, I have to be part of various audit. Am I ready to speak with the auditors? For that, I need to have both the technical knowledge as well as non-technical knowledge. But let's try to move into the next slide, which is about industry demands and workforce gap analysis. A strong example for this, I would say, is as per global studies, the cybersecurity workforce gap is over 4 million professionals are needed. And I would say this need is not across one role, one domain. It's across multiple domains, multiple roles. We'll go forward where we'll learn about what are the core domains, what are the multiple roles out there which you can grab, and which role has the highest demand, and all those things. But before that, every organization today depends on digital system, as we all know. Even the colleges need a digital system where you store the data, and as those systems grow, you need to make them more secure. And that's why the demand is so consistent across all the sectors, and it is not tied to one industry. It is tied to all the industry, whether it is government, financial, private entities, then we have a big multinational or small startup. In Europe specifically, even a small startup, when it handles personal data, it has to make sure that it is GDPR compliant. GDPR compliant means that your personal data in which is being used in a company is stored securely, handled safely, so that no unwanted people can access it, and that doesn't affect people in real time. So, for entry level, the demand is increasing because organizations are trying to bring in new people and build capabilities over time instead of hiring experienced professionals. At the same time, the imbalance naturally creates a strong career movement. As I would say, demand is more than the supply, and the opportunity goes faster. But please remember, this is a role where you need to have a strong responsibility about what data you're accessing, because as you go you will be having access to lot of sensitive data, lot of you will be using a powerful tools that can have access to sensitive data. So even your small action, whether you do some kind of testing, penetration testing for example, where you find vulnerabilities and then you don't exploit them, and you don't to be very blunt, you don't use that to blackmail your team, you use them to fix them. That's how you learn, and that's how you help your company as well. Then when you have access to sensitive data for example, sensitive data can be anything, a person's financial record, a person's health history. You need to be responsibly handling these issues, and then you need to stay legally and within your legal and professional boundaries. To understand this in real terms, the global data breach statistic is around, in case the amount paid for one data breach, the average is around 4.4 billion, 4.4 million, sorry, wrong number, 4.4 million, million dollars per incident. And in many cases these breaches are caused by external hackers, and sorry, these breaches are caused not by external hacker but by internal misuse of information, human error, and unauthorized access, which ties back to ethical responsibility. So so having skill is one part, but using it responsibly is another part. For example, finding, as I said, finding a vulnerability doesn't mean you should exploit it. You report it properly, you document it, you help work with the other teams to mitigate it, and that's how you learn and you help your company. The same goes to data. In many roles, you will see that the data which is not meant to be shared, which is not meant to be accessed by you, is visible, because as part of your job, you need to handle the data, work on it, share them as evidence to the audit, which is my role, where I access a lot of personal data or a lot of critical data rather than personal data. I need to be sure that when I share this with the people, those people need it as part of their job requirement, and not random people should have access to it. Over time, what does this thing do? It builds the most important thing, which is trust within the organization. Organization doesn't rely always on professional for technical abilities, but for more about judgment, handling what kind of data should be shared, what kind of data should be kept away. And that's why ethic is not a separate layer, it's part of what you do. And once you start looking at cybersecurity this way, you'll understand that uh, you'll understand it becomes easier to understand the field, not for just job, but as a different areas of working, each handling a part of the overall problem. And now we move to the part where you will understand about what are the core domains. So these are four core domains to start with: infrastructure, threat and incident management, application system and security, governance and risk management, offensive security. So let's start one by one, where I'll try to cover which domain has requirement of people and more opening or large share of job opportunities available. So firstly, infrastructure security. This role includes network, cloud environment, servers, and enterprise system, mostly hardware of the cybersecurity role. This is one of the biggest pressure points globally, because almost all organizations out there are now migrating from in-house systems or servers or networks or environments to hybrid, or most of them are migrating to cloud like AWS and all. As as a result, cloud and infrastructure security makes up the largest share of the open position worldwide. The next is in threat and incident management. This is a response side, which is about security operation, monitoring, incident response. This is actually one of the most in demand job. Industries are here hiring for the entry level or mid level cybersecurity experts, because here the need is not just to work on a 9 to 5 job. Here the need is to work 24/7 for detection, response, and handling any kind of threats or incident that may happen, because incident can happen anytime, threat can be detected anytime, so you need people available 24/7 to handle them. Then the next is application and system security. This area is growing rapidly, where every company nowadays have software which is applications platform or internal tool. Many companies have their own internal tool, own application out there, and security needs to be embedded from the development stage. When you develop a tool, when you develop application, your tool should have development strategies embedded in it. Like a code which has been developed can't be pushed into the production environment from testing environment without being approved, without being internally tested and approved by many people, so that the right data, right secured code is embedded in the system, and security is part of the ongoing process and not just added as part later. And so the demand here is rising strongly for secure coding or application testing or DevOps related jobs. The next is governance and risk management, which is GRC, governance risk compliance. This includes compliance with various standards like ISO 27001, SOC, NIST, GDPR, and various other standards, which starts with developing policies, doing risk management, and participating in audits. Even though this role is less of technical, but here the need is faster, because it you have to know various standards out there, various global data protection laws which are required by organization, either for B2B businesses, either for which make sure that your data which is being processed in another company is secure. Then we have ISO 27001, which makes sure that the customer knows that your environment is safe. And then we have something called a SOC, which is a legal requirement. And all these things relate to one thing, that managing the risk, handling the risk, and making sure that the gaps, the threats are being mitigated and handled in the right way. Many companies struggle here because they need people who understand both the technical side and the business side. You don't need to be completely technically sound over here, but you need to have a basic understanding how system works, how a how an application work, what kind of threats there can be, and what are the things implemented internally. If there are gaps, what can be done. Finally, moving to the next one, which is offensive security, and this is where I think most of the people would be relating to cybersecurity. Uh, this is about penetration testing and ethical hacking, which is not just about hacking into system. It's about finding the vulnerabilities in your company application or in your company cloud environment or systems, everything. So you just are employed in this role for finding vulnerabilities before the attacker do. While this is a smaller segment compared to all the other roles out there, it's highly specialized, and demand for this always stays strong because the supply is very limited. As we know, this role maybe in a company of 1,000 people, the need of this role would be just one and two, but this role will make sure that the other roles out there knows what to do, where are the gaps, what to be mitigated. For from my perspective, which is a GRC person, I need this person, because he will help me understand what were the vulnerabilities in the past, where they mitigated, what are the documentation required, and then based on those learning, I will be responsible for explaining all the structure to the auditors out there. So as I said before, uh, the job market for globally for cybersecurity has a shortage of 4 million users, 4 million people are required out there. It's spread across various domains, but high pressurely instant response, security, GRC, cloud, and infrastructure are the critical ones. And the important thing for the career here is uh, because as you must have seen, there is not a single entry point in this field, in this domain, in cybersecurity. People can naturally move from various domains into cybersecurity, whether they are technically sound, have an analytic skill, have a communication skill. It's fine, you can come in, start slowly, and then build on it. Going forward, I'll first try to give you an overview about what are the fundamental or the foundational skills required, how you can how the skill progression can happen, some hands-on tools, and then we'll move into the roles which are out there. So to begin with, we have two things over here. Technical skills first. Here the basic things you should know is how operating system work. There are many operating systems which you may be knowing Windows and Mac, but I would say there are Kali Linux, there are Ubuntu. These are the other kind of operating systems which are helpful for you to develop your skills in cybersecurity. Then the next is basic networking. Understanding how data moves between systems is a real foundation. For example, knowing how a simple request travels from your device to the server and back again already with giving you a clarity. For example, when you enter information in your tool, you should know that where the data goes and how it comes back and with what kind of query it raises. These are the basic things you should understand, not in detail, but an overview should be part of your initial fundamental skills. Without this kind of understanding, it will be difficult for you to make sense of security issues later, because understanding the foundation will help you identify, okay, this is the basic. Now you will slowly start developing your skills into how can an attacker hack this query, how can an attacker look for the loopholes in this query, and that's how you will learn. And apart from this, you should also know basic scripting, because as I said, your query is either SQL query or any kind of Python query. You should know what the query is running. You should have a secure coding practices implemented. And then there are tools like SIM or vulnerability scanner, which will help you understand which this tool helps you scan for the vulnerabilities in the system, and based on the vulnerabilities you may get a report, and then you have to work with people who can help you mitigate those things, or you would be responsible for mitigating those vulnerabilities out there. But out of all of these things, the non-technical skills are also important, because problem solving, analytic thinking are used constantly, because you are rarely given a complete picture. You don't know the whole environment. You only may know a small incident happening at a corner and which looks a smaller incident. But when you dig deeper into them, when you start communicating with people, you'll understand, okay, this may be related to various functions out there, and that's how your non-technical skills will be part of your job. So you must be having good communication skills. Understanding should analytical thinking and problem solving obviously should be part of your initial package. Risk awareness is something which I would say you should be learning it as part of your training. You should, cybersecurity is growing rapidly, so I would say risk awareness is something where you keep on improving yourself. You talk to people from your domain, you connect on LinkedIn or various things. I will cover that in the further slide, but just to give you an overview, risk awareness or continuous improvement is part of your role. Please, that's most important thing. And then now once so if you step back and look everything together, the main idea here is simple. Cybersecurity doesn't start with a tool or a advanced hacking technique. You don't need to have heavy techniques, heavy coding knowledge. It's just a start of understanding how system works, thinking clearly when things are uncertain, and ability to communicate with various people, various departments, various cross-functional teams, and find a meaningful way to mitigate those problems. So once these basics are in place, the next step is not immediately jumping into advanced tools. It's understanding how you can grow your skills and develop them over time, and that's where the skill progression side becomes more important. And as I said, the cross-functional. First, I'll give you an overview of the cross-functional skills, because, as I said, communication, risk awareness, having good ethics, having good relationship with various teams is the cross-cutting skills which are required, whether you are at foundational layer, intermediate layer, or advanced layer. All these things will only work if you have good communication skill, good understanding of what you are going to say, good understanding of how you are going to explain the problem from which you receive from team A to team B. But then we come to the next part, which is at beginning. I would say it's really about getting familiar with basic, as I have been saying in the last few slides. Understanding system, understanding the network, understanding how you can make sense of everything from a security point of view. Then the next thing, then the things start moving into theory to practice, where you start noticing patterns, you start noticing alerts, you start making sense of different signals and what it actually means. This is where the intermediate level comes into the picture. Threat detection, vulnerability assessment are part of this thing, where you get hands-on experience. You sit with tools like where you sit with tools, sim tools, which helps you analyze threat, which helps you under. Then there are OWASP tools, some OWASP tools out there which helps you vulnerability assessment. These are part of the intermediate layer. And further along the way, the focus changes now. It's less of a tool directly, more about higher level of thinking, how systems should be designed, how risks should be managed, how security strategies are planned and structured. Uh, these are the part of the advanced layer. And please remember, when you start from the basic, you will understand, okay, you will understand part A of the whole security architecture. When you go to immediate layer, you'll understand part A, B, C of the whole architecture. And then when you go to the advanced layer, you will have the opportunity to develop the whole ecosystem in the company, from network infrastructure, compliance, how people can access the office, how people can use the tools. Everything comes into the picture. And as I said, all this ties together is that some ability which people don't think of it as at one stage. Like uh, some abilities don't belong to just one stage, which is the cross cutting abilities. They stay important throughout your journey, especially things like communication, risk awareness, as I said, ethical responsibility. These are cross cutting skills. So when you look at this progression, it's one thing to understand the level on paper, but real question is how people actually move through them through by doing practices, by doing being part of various seminars, by being part of various real time hacking environments. Because progression in cybersecurity is not automatic. You don't just go from basic to advanced. You need to progress slowly. You need to understand each and every layer and develop your skills, develop your knowledge first. Basic understanding is initially enough, but as you go forward into the domain, you need to gain expertise on understanding certain tricks you must develop, which would help you identify, okay, this kind of threat may lead to some kind of attack. So you need to develop it, and it comes with knowledge, it comes with experience. So don't take any stress initially. Start building on your basics first. And that's why it's more important to understand now how learning happens in real life and what people use to build and strengthen these skills step by step. So to start with, uh, the first most common thing is capture the flag challenge. These are the basic security structured security puzzles where you will find vulnerabilities. You will have the chance to solve these problems or break into a control environment. The interesting part here is, in this CTF or capture the flag program, you will be acting both as an attacker and a defender. The benefit over here is, when you think of an attacker, you will hack the system, but when you defend it, you will think of a person who can solve that issue which came as part of the attacking process. Please remember, whatever I'm sharing right now, I strictly recommend you guys to only practice it in a virtual environment. There are virtual machines out there. Please install virtual machine and then Kali Linux like software, where there are various tools available for free, and you can enjoy hacking, or you are doing attacks on various systems on that system, so you don't fall into a legal trouble. Then you have cyber labs and platforms like try hack me or and hack the box, where you can safely practice real scenarios. This things like scanning network, analyzing systems, testing vulnerabilities, all in an environment designed for learning, not risk. Along with that, you need to get exposure to real tools like Wireshark, Nmap, Metasploit, Nexus. These tools are very important, and you'll find these tools in sorry, you'll find these tools in the Kali Linux software. This is free, so you can download it and use these tools over there. The important thing here is not just learning what to do, but also actually getting comfortable using them in practical situations. As you move forward, there are cybersecurity ranges. These are more advanced simulated areas that can replicate real enterprises. This gives you sense of how attack and defense actually play out in larger and realistic scenarios. There are also bug bounty programs from various companies. You can go to the website, search for bug bounty program, where you are legally allowed to hack into the system, their system, and provide the vulnerabilities to them as a solution. You can also provide them solution or just the vulnerabilities, and believe me, you can be paid for that as well. Many people are just freelancers for bug bounty program, where they go into companies, tell them I will find the vulnerabilities, and then they are being paid. All of this really shows that cybersecurity skills is built to practice across labs, tools, challenges, simulated environment. But for someone just starting, all these options might be a bit scary. It can make you feel like a lot is happening around without a clear point of entry. So that's where the next slide is about uh, which are the focus areas, which are the branches where you can be working. You have different focus areas depending on what kind of security person you want to be. So that's where the first part. Uh, this is the role, which is the security operation incident response role. Largest share of demand for the job in today's world is in this role. This role is about monitoring system, handling alert, responding to real-time attack. In most of the organization, this role has highest volume, as I said, but for entry level and mid senior level or mid level, not even mid senior. So this is more of a those initial people who want to join the cybersecurity domain, and this is because company needs people to work 24/7 with defensive capabilities enhanced all the time. Then the next is security engineering and cloud security. As I said before, most of the companies are now moving to cloud environment from their initial transition legacy environment to cloud environment, where AWS, Azure, hybrid environment comes into the picture. And employee needs people who can design the system, who can secure the system from ground up. And this is driven across all the industry. Even our government is now moving to digital solution than keeping the files in physical environment. Going forward, we have my domain, which is GRC. While this is not technical, as I said, it's mandatory. The mandatory function here is almost every enterprise needs to be regulated and audited on regular basis. This is one of the most consistently growing areas because compliance is no longer an optional; it's enforced. If you are, especially in Europe, if you have personal data, you need to be GDPR compliant. If you want to have any kind of B2B business, you need to have SCO2 SOC 2 certification. Then, if you want to be registered on a share market, you need SOX SOC Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which is another certification. Uh, then we go into the next one, which is offensive security, which is more specialized, but then which need more technical knowledge. But this is about penetration testing and hacking, and I think most of the people who think of cybersecurity think of this domain as the primary aim to go. And but remember, this represents a smaller pool of the whole job, because here you need high valued people, high skilled people, because this is actually where things get real about understanding the vulnerabilities out there. You need to have a lot of tools to understand, you need to understand a lot of scripts. So this is fairly a technical side where people who wants to be technically sound can be part of it. Then the next is security architecture. This is the highest level, I would say. Just below the leadership level, but still at the highest level, which has the most fewest job, because this job needs the skills of all the above jobs. You need to understand how operation works, how cloud security works, how offensive security works, where all this domain sits in the environment, in the structure of the environment. This professional designs, as I said, the overall security blueprint of the organization. How system network controls like SOC controls or various ISO standard controls fit together at the higher level. Then supporting all of this, we have the core analysis and defense role and the leadership role. Core analysis is similar to SOC, security operation and incident roles, uh, like threat intelligence, security analysis, who sits between the operational teams and the engineering team, helping understand patterns, risk, and what actually is happening inside the system. And then finally, the top level, which is the leadership, which is a CISO, which brings all of these domains together, defines who has what responsibility, what's the security strategy of the company. And so thinking of this as from a cybersecurity domain, uh, as you don't need to select one fixed path. You can really see that the work is distributed out there. A large portion of the roles are operational, cloud compliance, and then there are growing roles, as I said, which are cloud security or security engineering or architecture roles. And then there are smaller roles which are leadership roles or understanding architecture from a organization perspective. The most important thing here is people do not usually stay in one lane. Many people start from operational level and then move into engineering, architecture, or governance as per depending on your strength. And there are the reverse people as well. So this is less like a single job path and more like a connected ecosystem of from various directions. So the next part, as we go forward, we'll be moving zooming into roles one by one, starting with where most of the people would begin this journey. So start with security operations. Uh, as I previously mentioned, the bigger part over here is monitoring alerts, looking into vulnerabilities out there, looking into attacks which can happen real time. Within SOC, different roles handle different part of the process. Some focus on monitoring, some focus on deeper analysis, and other focus on responding to something which is a real time incident. There are roles that improve the system by detection, by knowing the system, by understanding what could happen, by predicting the system, and this is the role. So here the job title would be SOC analyst, incident responder, SOC engineer, all work in the same space, just at different stage of detection response. Like those are part of the same package, but work at a different level. From skills perspective, this builds strong foundation with working on logs. Logs, as in, for example, when you log into your college system, there are logs maintained. When you tap in your card, when you enter your fingerprint, there are logs maintained behind which tells, okay, so and so person has logged into the system at this time. Understanding the logs would help you understand if there are any unwanted people logging into the system. Understanding the system behavior using tools that handle real-time data. In this role, teams are responsible for monitoring, responding to real-time threat. So they need tools like there is something called as Microsoft Sentinel, Splunk Enterprise to collect and correlate uh, logs across environment. It's not just one tool; it collects data from all the tools out there. You need to collect these tools to various environment out there. Sorry. The next is endpoint visibility. We strengthen your endpoint systems like your laptops, your phone. Uh, these are controlled by CloudStrike Falcons. Then there are platform services such as ServiceNow. Uh, this role helps manage and track incidents. The purpose of SOC is to detect, analyze, and respond to security events as quickly as possible. This area is very critical because almost all the organization now relies on digital data, and then when your data keeps moving digitally, it's important to continuously monitor it, and that's why SOC roles are always in demand, and they form a first line of defense. And once this part is clear, we look at the other side, where instead of monitoring, you will be testing and breaking the system to find weaknesses, which is where offensive security comes. So here you are not just sitting idly waiting for detection to happen. Here you are watching the system. The focus here is thinking like an attacker, understanding the system, how it can be broken, but in a controlled and ethical way. Ethical way, as in you don't need to share the vulnerabilities outside the company. You need to solve it internally. The goal is simple: find weakness before the attacker do. Big part of this role is testing application, exploring network gaps, seeing how system works under pressure. But by pressure, it means when there are a lot of API calls to your application, how does the application react? Does it stop working after a point, or does it have that strength to handle heavy traffic? It also is very hands-on role where you work on scripting, understanding vulnerabilities, how they can be exploited, learning how to bypass them rather than using the system normally. Once you learn how to bypass this vulnerability, you will have a solution, and then that's how you develop in this role. Here also different role focuses on different part. Some focuses on structural testing, some focuses on researching vulnerabilities, other focuses on attacking behavior, but the core idea is identifying gap early than the attacker. In this role, the tools which can be used are Bob Suite, which is used for web application testing, Metasploit, which is used for unknown vulnerabilities, Nmap, which is used for information gathering of the other targeted information. Many professional uses Kali Linux as their primary operating system. It's as I said, it's available for free. You can download it on your virtual environment and try it. The main purpose of this role is to identify security weaknesses and perform attacks before attacker do, and basically improving the whole structure of the organization. Moving to the next slide. The next slide is about this is about security and engineering, cloud security. Here, uh, you're directly involved in risk infrastructure, network application, especially cloud environment. And since most modern systems are now running on cloud, a big part of the work is ensuring proper configuration, access control, consistent security across the domain. The tool used here are V's Prisma Cloud to monitor the cloud risk. Terraform is another tool which can be used to manage secure infrastructure development. AWS Cloud Trail is also, I think, important for tracking activities across the environment. So this layer is making security part of the system as a design from the design perspective, security part of the system from a design perspective, and not an additional layer later on. So the next is architecture. Here, I would say uh, it's about defining how systems should be structured across infrastructure and cloud platform. So everything follow the consistent and a secure approach from the start. A big part of the role is a decision making where the C-suite people and the higher senior level people are involved in understanding the business requirement, identifying the risks at a broader level, and making design choices based on the requirement of the business and balancing the security. The roles here would be security architecture, enterprise security architecture, or solution security architecture. In this tool, the tool used in this role are mainly it would be Microsoft threat modeling to identify potential risk during design phase, Spunk enterprise system, which is used to validate architecture designs using real world security. The purpose of this role is to ensure systems are designed in a secure manner from the start and not after the deployment. The next thing would be GRC, my role, where the tools which I normally work on is Vanta, ServiceNow, RAS, which helps with understanding the frameworks like ISO 27001, NIST, GDPR. This role is quite important because in this role, what you are answering, sometimes you need to find the answer for a different question. Are we actually doing things right? And how can we prove it? So this is the place where the area uh, this is the role which can help you prove that. Instead of dealing with attacker or tools over here, you define the boundaries. You understand what is acceptable for the company. You make the company follow the standards. You may set up the rules for the whole organization. And as this is also in relation with coordination with the senior members, like the C-suite or the senior people. So you have to be in contact with whether it is SOC, uh, security operational team, whether it is offensive security team, whether it is cloud service security team, architecture team, or the leadership team. You need to be part of everything. So, in this role, some focuses on understanding and quantifying the risk, some work on regulatory requirements, other work on shaping the governance that guides the how security is managed across organization. The roles and the title here would be IT associate, compliance associate, which is my title. Then GRC specialist, information security manager, compliance associate. All these roles complete the picture. This is the way where this is a part of cybersecurity that makes everything looks official. It connects the technical side to the real world responsibility. That's making sure that the trust is maintained between the customer, between the B2B businesses, with the government as well. And the next is about core analysis and defensive roles, where the tools used are Wireshark, Zik, Zurita. All this you can find on Kali Linux to OS. This is a free tool, so again, please use it. Threat intelligence platform is a platform like MIS, which provides additional context for investigation. The purpose of this role is quite simple: analyzing security events, threat detection, responding to capabilities across the domain. So in this role, you will be working with again the SOC security operation teams, where you'll be handling some part of their role as well. Overall, this role is interpreting and investigating and providing raw data how to move forward to the whole company. And the final role is about leadership. Here you use tools like Power BI or Tabular, where you find security metrics and risk dashboard. Here the roles are security information security manager, which is uh, a title. No, sorry. Here the role would be a chief information security officer, which guides the whole the rest of the roles. A big part of this role is to align security can't be an isolation. So decision here needs to align with the business requirement, operational needs, and long-term organization strategy. So from cybersecurity point of view, this role is to enhance business and not to hamper it. You can't implement something which would disturb the normal business functionality. So you need to communicate with various stakeholders, manage risks at organization level. Purpose is simple: to align with the security requirement of the business. Going forward, we will look into this particular slide, which will be very helpful for you going forward. This is about the three lines of defense, how where each of these roles sit. So to understand, the first line is about operation, where many engineers and developers sit. This is a role which focuses on implementing, maintaining, and securing solutions in the real time. These are the real workers out there. Then the next role is auditors. Then the next role is governance role, where are the cybersecurity core roles, which can be SOC, offensive security, or security operational role. In this role, the role is about looking into what kind of actions are taken place for various kind of threats or vulnerabilities out there, building policy standards and controls that ensure security is applied across the organization. At the assurance level, this is the third level, where auditors, and which can be in-house or external, they review all the things which are done by the above two levels. So basically here the role would be to look into the evidences which are provided and making sure that everything is working as per requirement. So each layer has different responsibility and work together to form one cycle and build on it. Moving forward, the next is how to develop yourself from as a beginner. So once you clear the basics, which is understanding uh, how you develop your basic communication skills, how you behave with how you understand the behavior of your system, how operating systems are managed, what basic security principles like confidentiality, integrity, and availability mean in real time practices. Once those are clear, you can naturally move into the next part, which is about understanding the core concepts of cybersecurity, like how can an attack happen, what are the gaps out there, what are the when a system can fail, what are the risks out there in obviously in real time. And those then start going into the next part, which is things after this. I think these things will start making sense to you on when you can actually try them. That's why hands-on practice is very important. Working in labs, or simple simulation environment, where you can see how concept behave outside the theory. Along the way, you will get introduced to common tools across industry. Not You don't need to master them at once. You need to get familiarized with all the tools out there. And as you enter the system, as you enter the domain, the workforce, you will start learning them. And to get more understanding of the overall structure, you can do certification. This can help you structureize your way of learning. You don't need to They don't replace your experience, but they help you organize what you have learned in a clear direction. So if you connect it back, the simple idea is three line of simple idea over here is all this uh, building strong foundation, understanding core concept, learn by doing it, learning the tools, getting certification. This is a process. You don't need to rush into anything. You just need to make sure that uh, you are you are confident with what you learn. And that's where we go into the next slide, how people can transit into cybersecurity. uh, the key thing to understand over here is transition is not about throwing away what you already know. It's actually about building on top of it. For example, someone coming from a background of development, like software development, you already know what kind of applications have been developed, how they are developed, what's the psychology of being developed. So you already know what kind of mistake the team could make. So you just start looking for into the same system from a different angle. like how they can be secured from attack. Similarly, for someone who is an IT support person who knows systems and troubleshooting of various systems, naturally this will connect it to the security operation team, because you know how system works, what are the unwanted logs which to look for in the log list which you will be getting. So instead of starting fresh, you just need to reframe your mind using your current experience, from just improving it from a security point of view, security context, and then gradually filling into the fundamentals like networking, security, or threat understanding. So basically, what you have learned, you need to just add on it. You don't need to start anything fresh. From there, practical exposure is very important. So you can apply for entry level jobs like SOC, security junior, security support junior analyst. I started personally as a working student, where I learned how what is structure of ISO 27001, and that's how I got interested into compliance, and that's how I moved into the field. In my first role, my role was just to document things. My role was just to uh, look for update things in the documentation. I was not responsible for understanding what to write. I was just it was just a copy paste job, I would say. But that helped me understand when I read the policies, when I read the audit reports. I understood, okay, this is what questions were asked in the audit, and that's how I learned. So you should not be scared, or you should not get bored of the smaller things. You should learn from the smaller things and then develop yourself. uh, Now, once you connect back everything, you can understand that this slide shows a complete path how an existing experienced person can move into a cybersecurity domain. Now, you would say how people transition into cybersecurity from different backgrounds and how you can enter. This is for the people who are coming from same background, but then there are people who are already in the field, already in the domain, how you can reskill yourself. And that's where the next slide comes about about reskilling. So here the role would be to start with understanding where you want to progress in your career. Growth is not random. So it usually follows a clear progression from junior, where you're learning and supporting, which I did, to a medium level, where you're starting to handle responsibility, which I am now partially getting responsibilities, and eventually becoming a senior and specialist, where you focus on deeper expertise in one domain. Along the way, most professionals naturally start moving into specific areas of their interest and expertise. Some go into security operations, and where they deal with monitoring and response. Other goes in cloud, other goes in governance, and some goes into leadership based on all the knowledge out there. But what really drives your growth is not just experience, it's about continuous learning, because threats, tools, and technologies are constantly changing. You can't rely on one time learning. You need to understand that you have to adapt to the need of the organization. At the same time, hands-on experience plays important role. Working with real system will only start when you get into the industry. So start working on before some would say, what if I don't get an opportunity, how do I keep up with my skills? For that, doing bug bounty program is one of the way for offensive security. Being a freelancer for governance and risk and compliance rules, you can apply for those roles. You can work with various companies who need support but can't afford the pricing because of the need of the certification. At the same time, I would say certification also plays a role, but they are not a milestone. Rather than they are, I would say, a complementary addition to your experience. They help you structurize your whole knowledge. Plus, they help you understand early in your career. Okay, when you go into the industry, you would have this kind of approach of handling a particular task. They don't replace your practical experience. They just validate what you have learned. Another important question that comes up is, how do you actually start learning these things in a way that is recognized and guided into the system? And that's where the next slide comes, which is certifications. To start with, at entry level, the entry level certification would be CompTIA Security Plus, Google Cybersecurity certification, ISC2 certification, CEH, which I have done, all designed to introduce core security concept and practices. Then we, at the intermediate level, we have certification like CompTIA Cybersecurity Analyst Plus. Then we have blue team certification, we have red team certification, which are hacking certifications, which focuses on hands-on skills, basic threats, SOC related knowledge. Also, there are certification at intermediate level which are ISO implementer or ISO auditor roles. This certification also help you develop in GRC domain. So moving on to the third level, which is the mid senior, where you have certification like CISSP, CISM. Uh, then you have OSCP, which is Offensive Security Certification Professional, which is help for penetration testing. Then we have AWS certification, which is used for cloud security. Then we have some certification for incident response and security operation, which is GCIH or GCIA. Uh, then moving on to the leadership, we have certification less about tools, more about governance, strategy, and leadership, which is CISSP, CRISC becomes more relevant, focusing on risk management, governance, align with business role. All this certification teaches you how to be a leader in the team, how to understand the needs of the company and handle it from the business point of view. One important thing, as I have been saying, certification is not the destination. They are more validation to your learning. They provide you structured knowledge. In many cases, employee use certification as a filtering tool. So certification, when you apply for a job, helps you outstand the other candidate out there. So you can do some initial certification. I would tell you to do the CompTIA Security Plus or CES certification to start with, because this certification will help you outstand the current lot of people. Going forward, there are some limitations as well for this from the certification point of view, because most certifications are designed as around a structured knowledge and control environment. They test your understanding, but in real world they are far less. They are not that predictable. In actual environment, things get more unclear. Rarely you don't get the whole picture in real environment, so you need to be more analytic. You need to understand the incident and then respond as per the requirement. They don't provide a full measure of how someone performs under real pressure, and also how you can apply your knowledge in real time. Uh, Also, some certification needs some kind of years of experience. Some certification needs some kinds of prerequisite certification. So please be aware of them before applying for anything. And also, certification are costly out there. So please plan your certification as per your need of the domain. Not, please don't do certification like CSAM at initial level, because that won't help you with your career, because you need to clear the basics first. So since cybersecurity is evolving quickly, certification can sometimes lag behind the tools, threats, and attack techniques. Uh, so most of the organization look for combination of certification and hands-on ability and practical thinking. So we are now moving into something which is often overlooked when people think about cybersecurity, which is career development and networking strategy. So I have been saying it in past few slides. Please connect with people through LinkedIn. Please connect with people through various Discord groups, GitHub communities, forums. Be part of various regional security groups. What makes them valuable is they expose you to real time discussion, real world problems, some things, sometimes even opportunities that you won't find through the current traditional channels. Then do CTF capture the flag training, do document sharing, start working with people who work in documentation labs, start connecting with them, make your connections of maybe LinkedIn or any other portal which helps you connect with the people. Another important layer here is participating in conference like DEFCON, Black Hat, regional security meetups. These spaces helps you see professional how they think, from threat to enterprise challenges and the other evolving challenges. Along with that, building your GitHub profile for technically sound people is very important, because that's how you can showcase your expertise. It gives an opportunity for the other people to watch your work, understand it, not just by reading it but by viewing it. One important side is that cybersecurity is very community driven. Technical skill matters, but consistent visibility and participation to various domain, various seminars, various groups is important, because that can accelerate your growth to a faster level than learning silently. And it is about how actually you engage with the ecosystem around you, which brings you which brings you the talent development you need for your career. You need to understand how people think in real time, and that's where the talent enabler comes here. It's all about how a person who wants to go in the domain can learn what other people, how other people can play part in their development. One of the strongest talent enabler is the curriculum alignment with the industry. Cybersecurity is quite rapidly changing, so our curriculum doesn't always keep up with the requirements of the industry. Sometimes that leads to students being outdated with the knowledge they learn, or just pure theoretical knowledge which is also not at par with the requirement of the industry. When it properly aligns, it helps people to understand the skills what are needed are not actually matching up with the industry requirement. You may know the theory, but you may not know the real time practical experience, because the curriculum is set up like uh, for the for the next few years it will be set up as based on today's real time need of the industry. And that's why I would say teachers and faculties are more important nowadays, because it's not just about delivering concepts, it's also helping about student connect with the real ideas, real attacks, real decision making, real helping students understand analytical thinking, helping students work in pressure situation from cybersecurity point of view. And honestly, this is also where many gaps exist. Some teachers can be good in explaining concepts, but then the real industry exposure is lacking, and that's where students need to understand. You need to learn from industry as well as teachers. You can't just rely on one of the above. You also need to know theoretical part, because theoretical part will help you to be very clear, help you clear the initial phases of your entry into the cybersecurity field. When that happens, students understand what, but sometimes students lack how or what why it matters in real life, because the curriculum or the exposure they have in the universities or the colleges lack the real time knowledge. And that's where students should be communicating with real time experts and understand how and why it matters in real life. To bridge the gap, another way is to have hands-on simulation that plays a bigger role. They are actually, as I said, help you understand attack, looks into log, how under a system behave under different scenarios. Another important factor is industry upskilling with emerging technologies, because cybersecurity doesn't stand still. New threats, new tools, new techniques comes and goes out quite easily. So being part of continuous learning, having continuous learning as part of your journey is very important. So I would say, to start with, you can look into OWeb's top 10 website, where you will find top 10 vulnerabilities, and that would give you an idea of how to start ahead. And finally, early cybersecurity awareness program are helping to introduce ideas to people. You should participate in conferences or seminars like which gives you an idea of how new alerts, how new cyber threats are being discovered, and they help you build awareness early and strengthen your skills going forward. Uh, there are some barriers as well in the industry, which we'll be covering here. One of the most common and challenging barrier is, or what is often called the experience paradox. Uh, Even for entry-level candidates, are often expected to already have mix of certification, foundational knowledge, or some practical experience. For someone just starting out, the combination can feel too much to achieve at once. Then there are rapid evolving rapid evolving then there is rapid evolving nature of the cybersecurity domain, which is new threats, new tools. So learning all this at one time is also difficult, but remember, this is part of the profession. You have to keep learning yourself. There are also there is also the pressure of coming out of certain roles, especially from incident response or security operation. These roles are decision making roles under stress, where you need to where delay or mistake can lead to real operational issues, which can impact the business and financial implication to the business. And finally, diversity and inclusion gap in the field, where which means not everyone has equal access and representation across all the roles. Understanding the challenges early actually helps you set realistic expectation, prepare people for long term success. Then the next part is about how can you work with the emerging trends, majorly AI. one of the emerging trend is the risk in cybersecurity. As more system move from cloud to cloud environment, from traditional or legacy environment, it's no longer local. It now it is now extended to distributed environment services, and that's where another key shift is happening, which is use of AI and automation for both attack and defense. Attackers have become faster, adaptable, and at the same time, security teams using automation to detect responses and threat. We are also seeing strong focuses on zero trust architecture, where traditional assumption of trust internal network are being replicated with continuous verification, strict access control. Along this, threat intelligence and proactive uh, along this threat intelligence and sorry, I'm going over time, but I'll just quickly wrap up. All Okay. Along this, threat intelligence and proactive defenses are becoming more and more important than reactive security. Organizations are now trying to anticipate attacks instead of responding what's happening. So early detection is happening, then as per the previous, when the attack used to happen, and then the team used to start working. Also, so so now I hope that when you look at everything together, skill, the role, the challenges, and how the field is evolving, it doesn't feel like separate ideas. All starts with staying connected into one single picture on how cybersecurity actually works in real time. What stands out is nothing in this field is actually fixed, and actually fixed for so long. It keeps evolving, constantly updating itself. So keeping yourself updated is the best way to move forward. The journey in cybersecurity is not really uh, about reaching the final point. It's about adapting to the field itself. So instead of breaking down further, it makes more sense to just close everything and bring the all ideas together. Uh, if you have seen throughout my throughout this seminar, there is no single point of entry. It is a growing field with multiple pathways. How there are people who can enter this field from various backgrounds, and people can have path eventually leading to wide range of job opportunities, from governance, engineering, leadership. Another key takeaway here is this field is on progression. Nothing here is happening instantly. Yeah, it is evolving instantly, but the role is progressing at a rapid pace. Skills are being built step by step. Certification helps structure the journey, and hands-on experience is the most important thing in this role. At the same time, what makes cybersecurity encouraging is, with the right structure, consistency, and practical exposure, people from various backgrounds can jump in and build their career. Cybersecurity is less about where you start from and more about how you can steadily grow and build into it. And that's where I'll stop for today. If you have any other questions, please let me know, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much. Okay.
Participants, do you have any questions? You can post in the chat box. So there are no any questions. You have explained in detail, so they are not having any doubts.
No, no, all
Thank you
good.
so much, sir, for the information and knowledge you have shared with us. The way you connected theoretical concepts with practical industry examples made the session engaging and easy to understand. We truly appreciate your efforts and dedication. Thank you once again for an enriching session. Now,
Thank you so much.
now, I would like to thank everyone involved in making this event a huge success. A successful event has many hands working effortlessly for months. A very big thank you to our Chief Education Officer, Dr. Mala Kharkar ma'am, in charge principal, Professor Gautam Sunkamle sir, Chief Coordinator of Technology and Coordinator of Information Technology, Mrs. Namrata Kavale Shinde, and all management members for supporting us and giving us the opportunity to conduct the event. I would like to thank our BSCCS coordinator, Mrs. Karishma Jain, BSc IT co-coordinators, Mr. Chayan Bhattacharjee, and Ms. Pooja Amin. I thank all the faculty members and at the Department of Computer Science and Information Technology involved in making this event a huge success. Last but not least, thank you all participants for enthusiastically participating in the program. We look forward to continued association for years to come. Before concluding the session, I would like to give a few instructions to all the participants. The feedback link will be posted in the chat box. So please do give your valuable feedback. E-certificates will be sent to your respective mail IDs within 4 to 5 working days. With this, I conclude the international webinar Cybersecurity Careers for All, Reskilling and Transitioning into Security Workforce. Thank you once again. Have a good day. Stay connected and keep learning.